to Fanatically Correct. Brought to you by us, fans like you, but mostly us.
It's a lion! Run for your life!
Wait, Timon, wait! It's a little lion!
It gets bigger.
Can we keep him? Can we please keep him? Okay. I promise. I'll walk him every day. If he makes a little mess, I'll clean it up.
You'll be his little mess. He's gonna eat you and then use my body as a toothpick.
But one day, when he's big and strong, he'll be on our side.
I got a 4-man team here, Rick. If I need more than that, I gotta get it approved. And you know, I gotta look after my dudes.
Hey, and if your dudes were a better match for me, I'd say, okay, you got me. But that's not the case, and you know it.
In a dark corner of the world, 3 men will work together to bring you a podcast like no other. This is Fanatically Correct, where the fans, the geeks, and the nerds are always correct. With your host, MSK, YoPeace and Omega.
So, yeah, we did a doubleheader today. So there's going to be another Omega YoPeace review episode.
Yep.
So you're safe. No spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. None of that. No need.
That's a great voice, man. I love that guy.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. I'm your host, Omega.
YoPeace.
And so, yeah, movie 1. We did a doubleheader. We went with the family, the kids, the wives, to see Lion King. Bag of peaches, mama. So, anyways, and the second movie we're reviewing is Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Oh, boy.
So it's a good thing this is going to be a spoiler-free episode, just a blanket-based review on the 2 films, because if not, we'd be saying crazy things like, oh, remember the part when Leo and Brad Pitt and Bruce Lee broke into Hakuna Matata? Mm-hmm. Or like, oh, remember that part when Leo shot Simba right in the face?
Right in the face.
And like, that doesn't sound right.
No, that sounds amazing. We need to write that.
That'd be
we need to write down.
So yeah, so it's a good thing that we're not going to review the 2 together. We are planning a Tarantino episode, so that's when MSK will be caught up, and we're going to go spoiler full on everything Tarantino, directorial and producing, not screenplays or whatnot. Maybe we'll mention it, but we're going to do an all-out Tarantino episode, so that'll be spoiler full on Once Upon a Time. But we'll go ahead and start with the family-friendly side.
Yes, let's start off soft.
And we'll do with the just can't wait to be king. So yeah, we're going to do some Lion King talk. YoPeace, blanket at first. What was your feeling?
It was a good movie, man. It was better than Aladdin, I must say. It was better than Aladdin.
Agreed.
And there's just maybe a couple of things that I didn't like. One song in specific that I didn't like about it. But other than that, I think they did really well. And I think people are not going to enjoy it.
I agree with all of that. Yeah, I'm already seeing some of the Rotten Tomato buzz. People are hating it for the reason I love it. I already know that Aladdin got more praise because for some reason there's a nice big group that wants changes and wants new things and not see what they saw. And the biggest complaint that Lion King's getting is that they pretty much took what the original is and for the most part kept that.
Yeah.
And they're like, what's the point of that? And for me, that is the point
right.
of that. That's what I want.
Yeah,
I want to take what they didn't have, which is considered now low budget, but just basic, regular animation, all they had available to them at the time, and to now see it live action-ish, because it's CGI, but live action, full-blown, budget, computer generation, make it look like it's real lions fighting and real animals, and that's what I wanted, and that's what I got.
Yeah, no giraffe sitting on no bird and the bird surviving. None of that.
Yeah,
it was like a real jungle, a real
even the way,
safari.
Yeah, to an extent, obviously the animals are talking, and there is like some dance moments or whatever, but not to the point where it's just completely out of the range.
Right.
Like realistically, if they spent like decades filming this, they could probably train animals to do this stuff and then just voice over the conversation.
Yes.
Realistically, it'd be a lot harder. It would take a lot longer to do, to work with actual animals and scenery.
Probably impossible by now to.
I would agree
Yeah,
with that. It would probably take some aggressive training.
Very aggressive training
that our society is realistic about. Is not fair to animals anymore. So yeah, they're not killing the horse like they did it for Atreyu. And Never-Ending Story that they really killed that horse.
Right.
But yeah, so no, I think that was the point, and that's what we got. There is changes. So for everyone out there, it's not 100% the exact same movie. They added things for those who enjoyed the first movie and that are Disney fans in general.
Yes.
That's all I can say. There's some good jokes that play on your knowledge of past Disney and the original Lion King. But that being said, Pumbaa and Timon pretty much stole the show.
By far. They were the highlight of that movie. And it was different.
Yeah,
and,
exactly.
And I'm not going to say more, but it was different.
And which is not a big change. In fairness, Timon and Pumbaa were pretty much like 75% of what people enjoy about the first one.
That is correct.
So it's still just as predominant, if not more, this time. And them knowing that that's where they allowed some ad-libbing, some changes, and some poking fun at the original framework. And that's what's good about it. And yeah, there's one particular scene I agree, and everyone was seeing it will probably agree. There's one musical number that feels out of place.
Yep.
There's a couple of musical numbers that are sung differently. Perhaps you feel oversung or undersung, depending on what your opinion on the original, music is. Outside of that, I mean, it's so some people. I think it's subjective. Some people will be like, I actually like this version more, and I actually like the original version more.
Yeah.
That can go kind of back and forth, but for the most part, it is the same song. And overall, it is the same film. It tells the same story. And I'll tell you, certain scenes are so impacting because which it was Hans Zimmerman, right? That's the one you noticed that.
Yeah.
And I noticed it's the music that plays a part of it. There's scenes that impact you just as much as the original did. It was hard to see.
I can tell you that I didn't want it.
Yeah, I know. It was hard, and there was kids obviously that had seen in the theater because kids can't help and talk out loud, and there were some kids saying things that you could tell they seen the original movie, and they're like, oh no, like when certain parts are coming
it's coming,
and
I'm not ready.
Yeah, and I do got to make a note that there was a particular scene. Everyone who knows the original film, we're not spoiling stuff, but YoPeace's daughter was in a full-on fetal position, preparing herself for what was about to come. So it was heartbreaking to see that. And then, sure enough, you're watching and you can't help but feel your eyes get a little watery and feel a little misty. Like, wow, it's getting me again. And I think the biggest thing that helps is James Earl Jones. Again, of course, reprised the voice as Mufasa, which is
so
huge.
great.
It takes you right back there. But yeah, all the voice actors I think did a great job. I think Beyonce is actually getting a little bit of flack for that. I think she did fine. I don't think her dialogue wasn't enough to impact.
I think
to see there was something wrong with her acting.
Well, I don't think it's the acting part, which I think I know why some of that happened. Again, I don't want to spoil it because are we really spoiling this movie for people?
I know, right? What is it? 30 years?
To be honest, are we really spoiling this movie for people?
To be honest, it's insane. There's people like, yeah, what?
But let's keep it simple. I think there was certain ways that they recorded this movie that I guess it's noticeable for that person that's maybe has to do with audio or whatever. Like they'll probably see a difference when it comes to the acting aspect of it, and that was not her fault at all. And then the singing was not bad. She didn't go. I don't think she went crazy.
No, I think there was moments that were rifted or oversung. Right. I think that was under direction because I think they were trying to go away, and then there's some lyric changes and stuff like that too. Yeah. Again, if you know the original material and you're a fan of that, you'll actually appreciate some of it because some of it's humorous. But overall, it wasn't as. I was expecting a couple of scenes to be bad. Yeah. I was expecting for me to like this more than I would Aladdin, which I did because it is so much closer and it is spot on what I enjoyed about the first, the original version, the animated version. And it wasn't as bad as I thought I was going to get. I thought I was going to get a really oversung couple of songs or really overdone moments, and it wasn't the case. And I'll also say something that we had discussed that apparently there was a lot of moments that where the voice actors, and that might play into it, a lot of them weren't working together. I know for a fact Timon and Pumbaa, Seth Rogen and I forget his name now who plays Timon, they work together to do all their scenes. And I know there's certain moments where James Earl Jones did work with the younger kid, or and the kids worked with each other. But for the most part, a lot of people did, like Beyonce did, Glover did for most of his stuff.
Yeah.
They solo recorded. And for a lot of actors, that doesn't work. There's good, like Tom Hanks is a pro. Tom Hanks goes into a studio, even though I believe him and Tim Allen always do tend to work their scenes together.
See, but those guys,
they're next level. They've been doing voiceover and acting in general.
And it's
for
not
so
easy.
long.
It's not that way of recording is not the same. And I feel like I think they need to get back into that whole one room, especially for movies this big where you're trying to recreate the same atmosphere for it.
Yes.
I think it will work better if they just all one in one room recording the whole scene.
I agree. Quick shameless plug, like something we're going to talk about on Retro Saturday Morning Cartoons on Saturday, August 10th at Sunrise City Comic Con. Something we had mentioned before when we saw Kevin Conroy at a SuperCon,
right.
And he had mentioned that, and we've always thought that Batman the Animated Series, one of the better and best animated series, period,
by far.
And one of those reasons is because the way they do all the voice acting work. All the actors work together in your scenes with the director in the room directing them like they're doing a scene.
Yeah, they're feeding off each other.
Exactly, feed off each other. So, I mean, you can imagine, it makes sense why every single Batman Joker moment in Batman Animated Series is incredible because you have Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy working together, feeding off each other's vibes, with the director telling him, what to add.
I'm sure Mark had his makeup on at that
point. Yeah, probably. I think he's method. He's totally method.
Yeah, I feel like, but they were into characters, and I think that's the best way of doing it. And I don't know how their schedule works. I don't know if they were so busy that they really couldn't be in the room together. But I feel for the next. I don't know. I mean, this is gonna continue doing this for what I believe they're gonna be doing. I feel like if they're gonna continue this, they should just boom.
And I think part of it, and I've yet to watch, and I really want to watch it. Yet to watch Mowgli on Netflix, and I know I probably didn't get the reviews that Jungle Book did. Disney's keeping true to its particular version of the story, which is the one that everyone enjoys. That's the bare necessities of the music. That's Disney. So if you watch Mowgli, you're not going to get that. I'm guessing. I haven't seen it,
but it's good.
You have seen it,
yes.
But yeah, I would think it is good, and one of the reasons I want to see it no matter what is because I'm positive that the CGI is great because it's Sudeikis directing, and he only does that one way, and that's with the suits on. So the way you get Cumberbatch as Smaug and Lord of the Rings, he's actually putting it on, acting out the scenes. It's the same thing you're getting with in the new Planet of the Apes movies, Rise of Planet of the Apes, all that. Like you're getting with Gollum in the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
when you get the actual actors, and I know that's how Mowgli was filmed. The actors actually put on the suits and the buttons like they do in Avatar, and they didn't just do voice work, they're doing actual acting, physical. They're in the scene, they're together, they're directed like they're doing the movie, pure play pretend in the moment. And I'm sure that's the only difference, is you're getting much more out of the acting. And considering that there was CGI in live action, that's probably the only misstep where it would probably be better than what we got, is to do that further. And then that will probably kill whatever complaints there's going to be out there, which that's just the haters. But the complaints are going to come out like, well, the voice acting wasn't that good, and this acting was that good. Whatever little moments that could have been better, that's what would have made it better. Was either A, definitely at least have them all in a sound studio together. They have the money to have a credible sound studio to do it. Or B, actually have them act it out and CGI it that way, as opposed to just doing the full-on rendering and then the voiceover work.
Yeah,
so
I think the haters, to be honest with you, were born in 1993 and on. I think that's what happens. I mean, they didn't really grow up with the movie.
Yeah, and some didn't see it. And I'll be honest, I mean, there might be, I'm sure what's happening is you're going to have a lot of children, but they're children, so they're not listening to this. But also, they might have not seen the original, and they're doing this first. And then what's good about that, and that's why I like to bring, if you then at home go, hey, you want to watch the cartoon version? And you can immediately watch it, and it won't be a big break for me. You're like, oh, wait, this is completely different, or whatever. And then the kids, they can enjoy it the same way, and just, it's, dumbing it down, whatnot. It's kind of young to have two versions.
I'm jealous.
Oh, yeah, I'm too.
I'm very jealous if this is their first time watching Lion King.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
I am very jealous because...
Yes. They got everything we got, but better, because it's live action.
It was live action. And
I agree.
It's
I agree.
It's amazing.
I don't feel anybody of a significance I think the kid they had did just as good as Jonathan Taylor Thomas did.
Yes.
Danny Glover did a great job, just as good as Matthew Broderick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was no downfall, and you have that Timon and Pumbaa. And like I said before, you do have to see to really appreciate this version. You have to see the first version to really appreciate the Timon and Pumbaa here, because there's a lot of callback moments and references. And then also, you should just brush up on your all-around Disney knowledge. That's pretty basic for some of the jokes that Timon and Pumbaa make to really enjoy what you got.
Man, and I have to give it to him. But speaking of Timon and Pumbaa, but Seth Rogen's voice is his laughter,
everything
is so great. I love this man's laughter. Like, it's so on point with it. It works so well with it. It's Man, they literally stole the show.
I will say I enjoyed. They also made some hyena changes.
Yes,
which I enjoyed. There's no Eddie. I did enjoy Eddie in the original.
Right.
The Eddie-ish one that they have
which
now,
is funny
because they even have different names. It's funny too because a different interaction. So yes, just like Timon and Pumbaa, you do have a different hyena interaction. Instead of a 3, it's more of a 2, and then the other one is something else.
Those things that were happening in those lines.
Yes,
were
that was
awesome.
another good duo. There's another good duo in this film that originally was a trio, but the duo is like perfect, and it's what is it? Keel from from Key and Peele.
Yes.
And he's awesome. He's great.
Yeah, it's Keegan Michael Key.
Yeah, and I don't remember who plays the other one, but
Eric.
It's Eric Andre. That's right, Eric. The Eric Andre Hour. If you ever watch that on a late night, Cartoon Network, the Adult Swim.
He's different.
Yes, he's an acquired comedic taste.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, he's not doing any of his vulgar comedy here, obviously. But yeah, they're a great duo, which wasn't expecting because we're used to, like, we just had Toy Story 4, so we're used to seeing Key and Peele together.
Right.
But here we had Eric Andre instead, which he's
it
Eddie-ish, and their interaction is great. So yeah, on my take, I definitely say yes. This is a must-see.
Yes.
Disney live-action film.
You have to.
No reason to wait. It's great to see on the big screen. It's enjoyable. I give it a big thumbs up. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I'm rating it pretty high. Are you
combining your thumbs to make it one big thumb?
One giant thumb,
or you're just gonna
just like two thumbs together to make
two thumbs together. I like it. I think we need to start doing that. Just two big thumbs.
It's a what is it? A football game thumb up. The foam thumb. It's a foam thumb up. Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. It's a great film, great summer film. And I'm gonna take a break because we also made that moment. I did that shameless plug. So before we get into Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is also a good time if you're listening to this episode with kids, maybe no longer listen until after we're done with our plug about the Sunrise City Comic-Con.
Yeah, even though we're not gonna give anything away.
We're not gonna spoil anything. We can't. Again, MSK will the WhatsApp tweets and the things, the comments we'll get from him will be very he'll be very upset. Yeah. So we're going to be very sure not to spoil anything, but it's Tarantino talk. It's an adult film.
Yeah.
Some things might slip just like language wise or what we're describing compared to other films or something like that. So yes, not a family film like the first one, like Lion King at all. It was really weird to see those two movies in the same day.
Which is why did we do this again? Because that was the weirdest.
It was the availability we had.
You know what it reminds me of is back in the days when we were growing up and we had
features?
to record when we had to record music, right? And we have like that CD with all those musics, and then like you're listening to like I don't know, like a hip hop song that you like.
You gotta get that other 2 tracks to get to your other one.
You need those tracks, but those tracks were like so
completely different from one another.
Different that it was like, how did you end up with this song
from here to here?
Yeah, I tell you what, the wifey still has some of those CDs.
Oh
yeah.
CDs, you didn't say cassettes. I'm old.
No, I didn't say cassette, but we do have a case of cassettes.
Cassette roulette.
Yes.
Play cassette roulette. Rip off of the labels.
We just don't have the cassette player.
That's the problem. Exactly. Got the cassettes, but nothing to play.
That's the only problem.
That's funny. So before we get into Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I'm going to go ahead and remind everybody that this is probably the last episode that might get released before we actually panel. We again will be like if you did listen to our previous episode from Tate's Night at Comic-Con, that's what we were promoting, which is the Sunrise City Comic-Con, and that's Saturday, August 10th from 12 to 7 p.m. You have just before August 2nd. If you're listening to this after August 2nd, sorry, it's going to be a little bit more expensive.
Yep.
But it's $10 tickets for adults, $7 for kids. And, of course, that's at sunrisefl.gov/Comic-Con. And right from there, you can buy your tickets and everything good. We're doing 3 panels. We're going to be starting out today. I got our time slots. So it officially starts at 12 o'clock, but we'll be paneling when you get there.
Yeah.
And we're doing Saturday morning cartoons. And I'm just going to tell you right now, we're embracing the concept of Saturday morning cartoons.
That's it.
That's all I'm going to tell you.
Embrace.
So we're going to be talking about retro Saturday morning cartoons. So our Saturday morning cartoons, but everyone's allowed to interject and throw out their Saturday morning cartoons. The kids might not have much to give out because that's not a thing anymore.
Well, maybe they got their own Saturday morning cartoons.
Maybe there's some parents that are doing that to them and saying, no, you don't wait till Saturday.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you get no cartoons. Only on Saturday.
You wait. So we'll be doing that. Of course, we're going to be doing a MCU, Marvel Cinematic Universe panel. I Am Groot is what we're calling it. That's going to be in the main theater. That's towards the end, right before all the costume contests and good stuff. So we're going to pretty much be warming up that room. And, of course, we're going to be talking Captain Marvel, more importantly, Endgame, and even more importantly, Spider-Man Far From Home. And, of course, everything that just came out of the San Diego City Comic-Con involving Marvel, which we could talk about, no spoilers there. I mean, we're talking about WandaVision, I mean, just so many things that were confirmed that we were getting, that were happening. I mean, that Doctor Strange movie's going to have Scarlet Witch as a main character, so that definitely makes sense. What's going to happen with how WandaVision's going to happen.
It's so much, and even though the announcements happen, there's still those things that he threw
at the end because they didn't have time.
Because he was like, listen, I'm running out of time, but guess what?
Yep.
I'm bringing this.
Yes, he said Black Panther 2 is happening, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, which we already knew, but he already said they're already working on that. They're going to have release dates soon for that. They are doing Fantastic Four.
Man, if you see me right now, I'm just throwing up the floor.
So an MCU Fantastic Four is going to be exciting. If you see Spider-Man Far From Home, we're going to talk about that and what that could mean to all the announcements that came out of what we're expecting. Because also there was X-Men talk. He even said that.
Yeah, he said mutants.
He said mutants specifically. So it's going to be interesting. And he said the word mutants.
Yeah, he did.
Which is awesome.
Which is amazing.
Because since now they own it, they're not going to shy away and call it something else. They're not going to call it metas. Because they did it with Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. They're gonna be mutants. So he said that word, which is a great thing. But yeah, I mean, they announced the Eternals. They showed the cast. They announced Hawkeye. That series, the Loki series. So much. Just so much is happening. So we're gonna talk about all of that. Spider-Man Far From Home, all that good stuff. And of course, in the middle, another big panel we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be doing villains of sci-fi and fantasy. We're probably gonna have more specific rules as to what that entails before we start. Talking and picking villains as top threes maybe, or how we do it, because it's still such a large array.
It is.
That topic can get away from us.
It is.
So we're going to have to get a little picky and detailed so we can just do that different versions of that same topic, so we can always get different villains and things like that.
We're probably going to wing it.
Yeah. So moving on to Once Upon a Time.
Once Upon a Time. Let's do it.
We're gonna. Every time I think Tarantino, I was like, there's a couple songs where like, not the Black Eyed Peas, not the Black Eyed Peas. He really did that. Jungle Boogie, I get down. I mean, just everything. So Once Upon a Time. The reason I bring up Pulp Fiction and also Reservoir Dogs. I'm gonna tell you, I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. So I'm coming from me first. It is a great Tarantino film. For me.
I don't know if you're going to want to do this
I'm going to do this. For me, it's easily top 5. I'm having a hard time not thinking it's my top 3.
Oh, man.
Because I'm having a hard time putting something else ahead of it besides Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
And I'm just talking about Tarantino again, directed, produced Tarantino. And I just think that what everyone's going to enjoy, if you're a big fan of the earlier Tarantino stuff, the Reservoir Dogs, the Pulp Fiction, the Jackie Brown, before he started getting crazy and crazier after Kill Bill, and then getting to the Django, and then Hateful Eight. I love Hateful Eight, but it's a hard watch. I mean, it really goes out there that I think he might have lost some audience.
Yeah, he pushed the limit on that. He I don't want to say he went out of his way to do it, but it's
I think he's a habitual line crosser.
Yeah.
And he was planning to cross some lines.
Yeah.
And he did. And I'm not saying he didn't here because it's Tarantino. He still does. But he took. To me, it felt like the vibe was a big step back to his earlier stuff. He calmed down the pace. It still has the Tarantino dialogue, which is great. You know, the back and forth are always great. There's always those little artistic moments here and there.
So
with film
there's so much artistic things that he does that it's just like I don't think we caught it all. To be honest, because
there wasn't. I have to see this, just like all his other movies. I'm gonna have to see this several times, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. And that's how I know it's a good movie, and that's how I know it's a good Tarantino movie. I'm looking forward to seeing this at least 2 or 3 more times within the next few months. Like, easily. Like this is again just like it was when I first saw Pulp Fiction. Within the first few months, I saw that a few more times. Reservoir Dogs, the same thing. I was hooked.
Yeah, I remember seeing Pulp Fiction, and I can tell you that I saw that movie the first time I saw it. I couldn't believe I was watching it at that age, but then. I think I saw that movie for a good month, like straight, like just like like whenever I would get out of school,
like, watch it again.
It was just so much.
It's just one of those you just like a continuous. Well, it's not binge watch because you're not watching a whole series, but binge watch in the sense you just keep doing it over and over and over. Like when you binge chocolate chip cookies, right? It's like it's the same chocolate chip cookie. You're just having 3 a day for a week because you just can't get you can't get it off your mind. You haven't fulfilled, and it's the same thing in this movie. I'm dying to see it again. Like I really am to see what else I missed. The cast is incredible. I mean, there's so many little moments. Like I feel that this is even more than any other Tarantino film where you're catching some big actors in small parts and returning Tarantino alum in small parts just to be in it. Yeah. And I was like, everyone I went through IMDb, I'm like, that's right. And there was a few people like you hear in the background like mentioning it, just mention, I'm not gonna say who, but someone said like, that's Robin, and in relevant recent Stranger Things 3, and someone's like, that Robin? I'm like, that is Robin. You know what I mean? Right. And you hear, I'm like, wow. And like a lot of that going on, and why? Because of the script is great. Just a great story,
and it's Tarantino. I think actors. I feel like as an actor, if I was in the business, I feel like I would love,
of course, to have it under your belt
part in a Tarantino movie. I mean,
there has to be. He has to have a different style. I mean, not obviously it's a different style of directing and producing what we get to us, the viewers. But obviously, he has to have a different style as well when he directs the actors.
Exactly.
Because everyone wants to have that experience, right? And which is obvious. Everyone's like, no, I want to have the experience of being directed by Tarantino. So there is something about the way he directs that is unique, right? I mean, because not just do we get it as a viewer, the actors are getting it as actors, and that's why there's certain actors that keep coming back, and certain actors are dying for a chance to work with him. And we saw that in this movie because there was a lot of really small parts that usually would just be no name. First time actors is getting a part, and that's not what happened here. Yeah, it was a lot. And you're seeing a lot of that, and just everything about it. The pace is a big step. I would say I think it's even softer than Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs for most.
It was very
of the movie.
No, you're
for most of the movie.
You're 100% right. The movie, okay, it's not your typical Tarantino, which is why I want to tell people because right straight up like. Don't go here, like, expect the Tarantino movie, but don't go here and then not like it because it's
not Hateful Eight.
Because it's not what he's been giving you lately.
Yeah.
Do not do that because then you're forgetting who he really is as a director. And I'm telling you, this movie is amazing.
Yes.
Amazing. There's so much that I want to go back and see it because I'm sure there's so much I missed. And so much that I actually caught, and I want to revisit it. I want to see it again, and I want to see the actors were beyond. Everyone was beyond incredible, doing their roles. And I can tell you one person that I know. I don't even want to tell you
Brad Pitt
who stole the role, but it was by far. Yeah,
and which I gotta say, I can't take anything away from Leonardo DiCaprio because his moments are huge. His acting, as usual, just like he wasn't big. I mean, he's obviously more in this film than he was in Django, because in Django he wasn't the main character. He's here the co-main character with Brad Pitt. So he has his moments that were even more intense than Django. Different scenarios, because it's a whole different character, obviously, but you have those moments of like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, Leonardo is
some great acting. Yeah, you get those moments of him giving you some great performances.
Yes.
It's just that the more interesting character
That's what it
is Brad Pitt.
It was written.
Yeah, and I'll even be kind to say that Brad Pitt's character is probably the easier to play of the two.
Yes.
Because his moments were a little more laid back and everything, but it's just that he played it perfect, and what the character goes through is just, I mean, it just makes the movie for me. It really does. And even then, in fairness, you could take it out and it's still a great movie with all the other performances and all the other characters and everything you have. And of course, their relationship together is great, but there's actually a lot of not them together.
Right.
A lot of, it's Tarantino. So you know how he tells his stories apart and it does different, tricks and whatnot.
Like Tarantino, don't go expecting your normal Tarantino. I'm telling you now.
But do still know you're watching a Tarantino movie, because you're going to be on your heels the whole time waiting for a Tarantino moment. I promise you will get your Tarantino moment.
Yes.
You get your Tarantino scene.
Yes.
And that's about, and I'll just say, so you can enjoy when the movie's over. Have in mind and ask yourself this question after you're done watching the film. Also, side note, stay for the post credits.
Which is,
Thank you, YoPeace. I was really ready to go because it's a Tarantino film, and YoPeace put on his Marvel hat for a second and said, "Nah, let's stay for the credits, see what happens." And if you're a Tarantino fan, it is a great payoff because it embodies something of all the Tarantino films, and which is great. So you do need to stay for the post credits. Do not leave. We are strongly telling you, stay for not the very lights turn on, because we stayed for that.
Yeah.
So once a thing happens, you're good to go. But the thing is pretty much right into the lights coming on. It feeds into the credits. So, but
there were a lot of people that left.
They didn't. Most of the theater was gone. Most of 80% of the theater easily was gone. I think most of the people who caught it besides us were just in the line to get out.
They were about to leave, and they were like,
wait a minute, something's happening, and they're showing something. So it was a great call by YoPeace. I apprecited that I caught it with him, because I was actually. I probably would have left. I think for sure. And my wife would have had to leave.
I'm telling you, I think Marvel has literally build a stay to the end for me, and it will always be a thing.
It's a thing. It's better to have stayed and there be nothing than have left and missed it. It really is. Even if it's a stupid something, like a song or whatever, lyrics to a song.
People did it during what was this movie with Will Smith? No, not Will Smith. I'm sorry, it was Constantine with.
Yes, that was the big one that you always bring up.
That was the big one.
Yeah, no one knew to stick around for that.
People didn't know,
no one knew to stick around
and it
for
was
that.
there. So
a lot of times I tend to stay for comedies anyways, but not just going to stay always.
Yeah.
But comedies sometimes, because it started with a comedy with Ferris Bueller.
Right.
And then you kind of just always stuck around for comedies after that, because sometimes comedies would do something funny, a callback or whatever. But what I was saying before, ask yourself the question when you're done, why did he title this Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? And you'll be able to answer that question, and it's very fulfilling because you'll understand the logic behind this film and what it is. And one of the few really feel good Tarantino movies overall. I mean, it's hard because it's a very strong, hard subject matter, and you know what you're getting into because it's based on some actual.
I want to say it's a confusing
events. Yes,
it's a confusing
feeling that when
you
overall
that you get overall, because
it's the pacing. As I'm saying, it's really and that's what I'm telling you, that this is, if it's an introduction to Tarantino, believe it or not, you can start with this. Because it's going to be a softer blow. It's almost like when we talk about Black Mirror and we go, don't go out the gate with the first episode. And I personally always recommend, Hang the DJ.
Right.
Because it's like you get the idea of where they're going. But it's like, I mean, even though that's a very happy ending. So I don't want to I don't want to sell that to you, obviously. But I'm just saying that in the overall sense of Tarantino, yes, there's a couple of Tarantino-ish strong moments of what you see in Kill Bill and Hateful Eight and all that stuff, but it's not overpowering. It's not too much of it. It's a much easier follow than a lot of times other movies are.
Oh, by far, it is an easier follow.
It's much more relatable characters. You can relate to the era because there's a lot of characters that actually existed. Because it's talking about Hollywood during that era during the 1960s. So there's a lot that's especially for older people who actually were young in the 60s that remember that time and actors and the way the society was and the way people spoke and things like that, and a lot of the ideology. it's a much easier follow. So it doesn't like you walk out with a different feeling you normally do from a Tarantino movie.
Yes.
And so with that being said, I think it's a great way. Like, guys are trying to get their girlfriends into their watch, or girls are trying to get their boyfriends into it. Whatnot. Anyone trying to get their significant other or a friend or a sibling. Like, nah, man, you should check out Tarantino. Like, nah, I don't know, his movies really don't interest me. Like, you could start with this one, and I think this is one that will probably get most people like, all right, I'll give his other stuff a try. I think if you start straight with Hateful Eight or maybe even Django,
that's me. That's what I do. I tell people to
go straight to the hard stuff.
Just,
even though Pulp Fiction, I mean, that's why it's one of my top 3. I saw that when I was 12. I shouldn't have. I'll be honest. If you have to take a 12 to see a Tarantino movie,
which is why I was telling you. I couldn't believe at that time what I was watching. We rented this movie, by the way.
Yes.
Rented. I didn't go to the movie theaters.
Yeah, you rented.
I rented this movie. Okay,
you should not have seen Pulp Fiction either at that age.
And I continued renting it from the place, for a whole month. And why? Why is this kid watching?
That was a Netflix disc. Yes, kids. Before originally Netflix was a DVD in the mail. Never understand that concept.
So yeah, it's
for sure. It's definitely like I was speaking to my cousin this morning. As a matter of fact, the one who took me to see Pulp Fiction when I was a 12-year-old, and I had to acknowledge he's like, oh wow, it's kind of a bad influence. And he has a 15-year-old kid now, and I'm like, I'll tell you right now, if you're gonna introduce Tarantino, you watch this one with him, not the debauchery of Pulp Fiction that you took me to, you animal, because you're gonna see some violence, which at this age, the video games he plays are probably worse in violence than what you're gonna get in this movie. But there was the psychological concept of the stuff we saw in Pulp Fiction of some sexual violence and some vulgarity, and the dollar was just next level. I mean, it was hard. It was hard. So I would say this is gonna be take a step back. Going. I mean, no matter what, you're gonna see a Tarantino movie. You're gonna see a Tarantino movie. You're gonna be happy. You're gonna be pleased. I hope I'm not overhyping it. I don't think I am. It's a good, solid Tarantino movie.
Well, I mean, if you're overhyping it, then I'm overhyping it, and I can tell you that.
I'm sorry. That's all I'll say. But I enjoyed it.
I just can't wait till we actually be able to.
Yeah, we're gonna go nuts.
Talk
once MSK. I'm pretty sure MSK is gonna enjoy this film, and I'm pretty sure that it might steal, because it's gonna be the most recent one, a lot of the episode when we do Tarantino. Mm-hmm. That's probably gonna be a long episode or a 2-parter. Because there's so much we like about all his films. And, we all have different things. Like, I'm a big dialogue person. MSK is a big, editing and, like, film trickery and filming and, like, film selection and shots. And, like, he's more of the aspect. You're kind of rounded in that.
No, I'm just there for I'm just there.
Just there.
I'm just there. There's no...
Well, you're an actor guy and you're a character guy.
I'm just there to actually just see, and there's nothing going through my head at that time except that film, and that's just what I am.
I'm a big dialogue guy. Tarantino mostly gets me, and that's what this film has a lot of that. Yeah. He gets me with dialogue. I love the quotables. I love that about movies. I love movies that have great quotables, and of course
there's going to be so many
there's so many quotables out of this one. A lot of quotables.
So many.
And then there was a lot of moments where you're just like, oof, like this typical Tarantino stuff. We're like, oof, okay. Like, put away your political correctness hat. You're not gonna be able to wear it. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to wear that hat during any Tarantino movie for that matter. Because there's moments like woof, like, and that's the joke behind it. You know what I mean? He's hyperbole.
I mean, it was the times.
Exactly. That's
the whole point. Write the times, and
he's writing the times. So you have the just like woof, like yep, he said that. And it's just great, and the character's solid, and that's the good thing. There's just the characters are portrayed what the characters are. You really enjoy, everything they did. I'll tell you right now, I feel if you understand the film you're watching, you're not going to feel that any character went unused.
Right.
That any actor went incorrectly used. Because I know for sure, I think I might have heard already complaints of it, but you might hear some complaints about the less the smaller amount of actual speaking dialogue that Margot Robbie got, Harley Quinn.
Yes.
That got as her character. And all I will say is that I think that's 100% wrong, because I think the acting, from what I gathered from her, she did a lot of physical acting, in which subtle physical acting is even harder.
Yes.
I think to not be like a complete comedian and throw yourself on the floor or whatever, but to actually smile a certain way and walk a certain way. I mean, there really was a presence about her, which is important, because obviously the subject matter of this movie and going to, obviously, you see the previews about Charles Manson.
I think you have to I guess I don't want to say be a fan of that person itself, but I think you should know maybe something.
And I think, and that's my point, I think that people who weren't a fan of her get what she meant to Hollywood.
Right.
You know?
Right.
What she meant to the people that knew her in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it in such a artistic way.
Right.
Tarantino did it in an artistic way.
Exactly.
And instead of just giving a bunch of dialogue for the words to come out of her mouth to sell the person she was.
It was exactly what it needed to be.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I think everything about it, including the relationship between, Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt's characters, the relationship and interaction of their characters with other characters, just everything in general was done. I think Tarantino did a great job. He did. And I think it was probably one of his harder jobs because it's not complete fiction. You know? And it's almost like with Forrest Gump, when it's not complete fiction and you're interjecting and this is a fictional story happening in these actual events and in these actual moments, and you have to be able to sell the fiction with the reality. And so I think he actually had a bigger challenge doing that, because that's not something obviously he's done in his other films.
What I enjoy about it is me going into it blindly. Yeah. The trailer did not give anything away from me, and I love going into movies like this. I love knowing that I'm gonna go watch a movie that I want to, I feel like I'm gonna enjoy the director or the actor or whatever it may be. Yeah. But just going in blindly is what I felt for this movie. And I did not go out of my way to look.
I will actually say, believe it or not, maybe watch a documentary or just read a couple of articles, whatever. But believe it or not, you don't want to go in 100% blind if you're not aware of the Charles Manson connection to this story. And that's why they show it in the trailer. Right. It's a very important reason. You do need to educate yourself a little bit on what happened. Right. Maybe not all the details, but because it's very important to know what happened to get this movie.
I guess that because I already knew that.
Yeah, exactly. Right? And that's what I mean. So that's what I'm saying. I don't want to confuse people. Well, you know what? I don't really know. Charles Manson had something to do with what this movie's about, and they never read about it because then they might not get what the movie's doing.
But wouldn't you think that this movie will give them the I want to know more about it?
Maybe. Yeah, I can see that.
Because you don't really need to go investigate. Maybe you come out of there going, I want to know what is this
and then you get it, and then you get it after the fact. You could go that route too.
Because it could work that.
Yeah. It depends. Yeah, it all depends on where you are. If you want an after treat of understanding the film better by researching, if you're not very familiar, because that's not, it's not everyone was around during that time. Right. Not everyone watches a lot of documentaries and films about things that happen in Hollywood. So yeah, you could go that route. Or if you really prefer to have it hit you while you're watching the movie, then you can go there. So you go either way. If you're you know what, I'm not very familiar with that connection to this film or anybody else in there, and I just want to see the movie, like you're saying. That's not the blind, because like you said, you did know that. You weren't 100% blind. You were just 100% blind to the fact that you don't know what the main story is. Yeah,
I don't know the main story.
Which is the usual. Which is what we got with Reservoir Dogs. Right. Which is what we got with Pulp Fiction. Which is what we got with Jackie Brown. Not with Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2, you already got it. It's a revenge film. Exactly. You're already getting the story. This woman, and it's also based on older films, just like Django was. You already know that this woman was wrong, and she's getting vengeance, and then it goes from there. And it's the same thing with Django Unchained, that this is a slave that's getting his freedom, and then it goes from there. Hateful Eight was, again, a film you didn't know what you were getting. Yeah. It's a Western. I don't know what it's about.
And you still don't know what it's
about. And you still don't know what it's about. When it's all over, you still don't know what it's about. Inglourious Basterds, it's the same thing. It's a Nazi spy, and you pretty much knew that going to two. This one goes back to, I know it's Hollywood, I know it's the 1960s, I know it's during a specific era.
I know certain
characters, and I don't really specifically know where they're going with this.
And I did not go out of my way. I can tell you, I did not go out of my way.
And we haven't even said it. We haven't said it. We're not gonna, because we're gonna talk about it deeply after everyone's seen it. What the movie is actually about. Yeah. And it's interesting, and it's just stay during the post credits. That's tip number 1, and tip number 2 is sit back, relax, and watch. And as usual, a lot of Tarantino films, especially the earlier stuff, tend to start what might feel a little slow, so the dialogue starts to pick up. Yep. They're first okay, Why do I feel like I'm waiting for something? Why do I and it doesn't, and it's and you'll catch
sit
it.
there for the
so
ride.
sit and enjoy, and you're gonna enjoy.
Yeah.
And I guess before the necessity, you want to go ahead and plug our contact info.
Here's my shameless plug.
There you go.
You can listen to us on Fanatically Correct on Podbean, Google Play, any pod, or for your Alexa or your Echo. We're on Spotify. We're on iOS or Apple Podcasts, whatever they want to call it nowadays. There's so many other.
Pretty much everything.
If you can, please
review us.
Just review us. We're on iTunes. Review us on iTunes and review us on Podbean. We need those reviews, and we need you to share our information. Whenever we update a new episode, just share it. It's not gonna take that long, especially on Twitter. It's so easy.
Yeah,
it's such a button away. And then obviously you can go to a website, which is fanaticallycorrect.com, and follow us on Twitter again, Instagram, which is the @handle @fancorrect, and Fanatically Correct on Facebook and MeWe. We also have a phone number, which is 786-704-8404.
You want to take a look at that real quick?
Yeah. That's the number.
While he's rereading that number, that's the number.
That is the number.
So after that,
why did I look so confused?
Yeah, I know. That's great. But I will again record if you're calling us from Pride Rock, from the Pride Lands, if you're calling us from Hollywood,
yes,
or from Italy, and from any crazy place, we're not accepting it. It's just not gonna happen. We're just not. It's just not. Sorry, we can't afford those calls.
Which is the reason why I'm saying to share us and
make it so we can afford.
So we can afford it,
even though we still won't accept those charges. But at least we would afford those.
At least we'll be able to afford it. At least
we can say we can afford it. We just choose not to.
Yeah, we're still not gonna pick up. I'm letting you know right now. We're not picking up.
So and actually, believe it or not, I got a necessity, and it's different.
It's different because just as weird as this whole thing was,
it's the concept is that the name of the film is what is it?
I
forgot. I'm the guy who needs
welcome to my show.
Read, but I don't want to get it wrong because it's one of those tricky names. It's Bad Times. I was going to say Bad something, but it's Bad Times at the El Royale. Now, what's funny is I hadn't realized, I actually brought this up to MSK or YoPeace maybe when I first saw it and haven't since. But there's definitely elements, and it's not the same era, it's not the same anything, but there's so many elements of this film that remind me of a Tarantino film.
Okay.
And that remind me specifically of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And the concept of we saw Lion King and then saw this because it's a crazy movie and it goes all over the place. It has a little bit of a Four Rooms feeling to it, but it's a good film. It has a lot of good actors. We actually just saw the trailer when we were watching for Harriet. Which is a Harriet Tubman story, which looks really good. I mean, from what I'm gathering, if you're a 12 Years a Slave fan, you're going to be a big Harriet fan. The movie, it looks like a good film. And I recognize right away also the actress that's playing Harriet Tubman. She's in this film, Bad Times at the Royale. And then, which her name is Cynthia Erivo. I hope I pronounced that correctly.
I think you nailed it.
But run them off. Who else? We got Chris Hemsworth.
Jeff Bridges. Dakota
huge.
Johnson is in this. John Hamm.
John Hamm is great in this movie.
Chris Hemsworth. And I was saying, and I'm going to say one thing about Chris Hemsworth that I will prepare. This is not a spoiler because you get it right away because they build him up while you're watching the movie. He is the villain, which I can't think of anything else where he's the villain. And the very first time I saw Chris Hemsworth was Captain Kirk's dad in the Star Trek movie, which is one of the best, probably my favorite opening to a movie ever. And such a small part. Can't get enough.
And he's like, he's a character. You immediately love Kirk's dad.
Yes.
You immediately love Kirk's dad and the way he portrayed him and the way he played him.
Which I'm so sad to hear news.
Yeah, that he's not going to be part of Star Trek.
That he would not be part of it.
And play Kirk's dad. I know. Because
neither is
Chris Pine apparently himself. So I don't know what they're going to do. Speaking of Tarantino, there's a lot of talk that Tarantino's going to do a Star Trek movie. I don't know what that will be. And not a Star Trek-ish, a Star Trek movie. And that's a lot. So once that's 100% confirmed, I want to see what that's going to be.
Yeah, that's just one of those that I'm like...
The only thing I think was like a Rogue One. That they're just going to go off the rails and do... it's going to be the universe of Star Trek. but not
it's
directly linked.
Tarantino.
I know. I don't know. I hope it's true because I want to see what that is. You want to talk about trolls and people hating? All the purists are going to despise that.
Oh, whatever.
That's
I don't
that's
care.
like this kid getting casted as Batman. It's going to be bad. That's going to get his back flack once it's 100%. But because there's also a Django Zorro supposed to talk that he's doing that as well before he does that Star Trek. But regardless, Chris Hemsworth. I've since the first moment I've seen him, he's always played the hero.
Yep.
He's always played likable, charismatic characters, funny characters, and it's a big change for what you see him in Bad Times at the
to be fair, he wasn't Thor for so long.
Yeah, exactly. He needed a break. But no, he shows his range. He's a great actor.
He is.
This movie, it's a crazy movie. It's Tarantino-ish. Prepare for things out of order or things from different perspectives, or it's just a lot of that. But all the actors are great. The performances are great. It's a quick, easy watch. It feels like it wasn't a very long movie, only because so much is happening so quick.
Yeah. I just want to let people know right now they can watch it on HBO.
Oh, there you go. So if you didn't cancel right after Game of Thrones aired and said, well, I'm done, that's all I watched this for. If you're still holding on to HBO because you're looking forward to Watchmen or to the next season of Westworld, which is not till next year, or, Ballers, there's a lot of stuff on HBO. Actually, I still haven't watched the Deadwood film, so that when we do our next Western episode, we'll get into that. But so if you're still holding on to HBO, it's currently on HBO, so you don't even gotta rent it on on Amazon or Redbox. Or
just do that free month. They give you a free month.
That's what I'm about to do with Stars. I personally, I'm watching what is that? It's American Gods. I saw season 1, so they're doing like a free month on Stars. Like, hey, now that it's done, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna binge it and then buy Stars.
New email, sir. Here you go.
But you can do that free month and kick it that way, or steal a buddy's password, temporarily,
legally.
Legally. There's go over to buddy's house, watch it, force him. I wouldn't see why he wouldn't want to watch it again. That's why I'll probably do a YoPeace and sit down, because I do want to watch that movie again too, and it'll hold me over so I can watch Once Upon a Time in Hollywood again. But only since we finished on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I figured that was a good necessity, because there's elements that will totally and completely remind you of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. It's a fun film. It has a lot of the same elements, and just the basic as close as I can story is that there's not one main character, but some characters check into a hotel, and they all kind of connect in a certain way, and then it's kind of like a race against the clock to kind of get out of the hotel before some other people come. And then there's just some really great twist in certain characters and their development out of nowhere, which usually in a movie like this you don't expect to see character development, because it doesn't feel like you have enough time to develop a character. Film. Exactly. Exactly. Versus a series, and then on top of that, usually because it's so many different main characters telling so many different stories and perspectives, you really don't usually think you can take a character to develop them and change them to kind of like, this is the character they are for this story, and this is how the story ends. Where they actually take a moment to take a couple of the characters and actually develop them between the stories. So it's interesting, and it's a fun watch. Great performances, a lot of range, and it's just do it. And for Lion King, obviously, see the original Lion King. Yeah, that's it. That necessity. But before or after, if you watch it after and you haven't seen it, you're gonna get some jokes. If you watch it before, you're gonna during get some jokes. Exactly. So that's those are your two necessities. Anything you want to contribute on the way out? I mean, you have to watch it. I don't think you've seen that.
No, I have not. I have not watched Lion King. The original Lion King,
This guy.
Go back
and then hopefully by the next time we talk, MSK would have watched some of this too. And hopefully, if this is the last episode we kick out before we're actually at the con on August 10th. So if you're listening to this and you're getting close to August 10th, again, join us. We're going to have 3 panels there,
Especially if you're in South Florida.
Yeah, exactly. It's local. It's a local area. It's in the South Florida area in Broward County.
But if you fly to us just to see us,
we're not accepting those charges.
I am not accepting those charges either. I'm letting you know right now.
We're not paying for your flight. That's 100% on you. So and again, review us. Check us out. I was with it was MSK and myself in the last episode, YoPeace and myself in this one, and you get the three of us there for for this event, and you get MSK and YoPeace. I mean, we're all in and out, so it's between the three of us. We're always going to try and give you as much content as we can. The more reviews we get, the better we do. The good chances, the more that we can record. And do more episodes.
And thank you again for your support.
For those who have been supporting us,
Yeah.
you know who you are, specifically those who are reviewing us and constantly liking us and sharing us. We appreciate, actually, believe it or not, it's still a small amount compared to what we're aiming for, but it's enough people that it's a lot to to say specifically. So you know who you are. And
Man,
thank you.
just getting one person to listen to me. It's
just
more
like
than
you particularly. I'm talking to you particularly right now. Listening to us. Yes, you. You look in the mirror. You review your mirror. You're listening in your car. I'm talking to you. Thank you.
Look right now.
But go ahead and review us again because we need help.
New email.
So that'll be it. Thank you again. And this is Omega saying peace.
YoPeace. Peters.
And there you have it, folks. This has been Fanatically Correct. Until next time, you crazy kids. Signing off.